How's it going? Welcome to the video, guys. Today we're talking about the Canon C70 in comparison to the Canon R5. So I've had the R5 for a few years now, been loving it, been using it for basically every single project that I've had. And then recently, I've had this little urge, this little inkling to test out the Canon C70 and see if it might be a better fit for my workflow and see if it might step up and improve my quality of videos that I'm delivering to clients. So, like the responsible person I am, instead of going and buying the camera outright and then seeing if I like it, I went and rented it from lensrentals.com. This video is not sponsored by them, but little shout out for them as well. So I went ahead and rented the C70. I've got it here right now, and I have it for a week. I did a TV commercial shoot on Wednesday. I've got 2 weddings this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, so my plan was to go ahead and use this for those 3 projects and see if I liked it and see if it really did improve the quality of my work like I hoped it would. So I've been doing a bunch of testing between the 2 cameras, and I've kind of got a general verdict as to my opinion on the 2. And so I'm going to go through a bunch of pros of the C70, a bunch of cons of the C70, and then I'm going to give you at the end my opinion and what I am doing, whether I am purchasing this C70 or I'm going to send it back. Now, the first pro of this C70 here is the image. It is no doubt cleaner. It has less grain and noise than the R5, and it has more dynamic range than the R5 does. Plain and simple, the Canon R5 that I'm filming on right now definitely has a good bit of noise, even at the base ISO of 800. It's been pretty frustrating for me when I go to film things and I'm like at the ideal ISO in good lighting and I'm still seeing grain in the shots. Obviously, you're going to have some grain filming in a log profile, but you don't see it on the C70, so maybe it's limited to C-Log 3 versus C-Log 2 because obviously I'm filming in C-Log 2 on the C70, so it's got that going for it. But the C-Log 3 on the R5 definitely has a good bit of noise in the shots, even at low ISOs and at the base ISO. It is what it is. And then onto the dynamic range, once again, the R5, it's not horrible, it's not terrible, it's pretty not great compared to the C70. I knew it wasn't amazing, but then you go and shoot with the C70 and C-Log 2, and you're like, wow, this is what's possible. This is pretty dang good. So it's really cool getting to see that difference in dynamic range with a camera that can shoot in C-Log 2. And it really makes me wish that Canon will be able to put something like C-Log 2 in these R5s. I think that would be a game changer if it's even possible. So maybe R5 Mark II would have that. Who knows? Pro number 2 of this Canon C70 is going to be the built-in ND filters. They are so nice that you can just tap this little button on the side here. You don't have to worry about having the screw-on ND filters and then changing them out to the different levels, or buying a variable ND, which a lot of them have tints and color changes that they throw into your footage. And you also don't have to worry about the other issue that I hate is when I'm filming a run and gun scenario like a wedding and I go inside from outside and I need to get a shot really quick. I don't want to have to take the ND filter off and throw it somewhere and have it get messed up or scratched or whatever. It's so much easier to have these built-in NDs, so when you need them, they're there. When you don't need them, they literally just drop off from the sensor and they're not there anymore. So super, super, super helpful and useful. And I really, really wish something like the R5 had that as an option. But it is what it is. And pro number 3 that I'm going to give to the Canon C70 is just the general build quality, ergonomics, and feature sets that it offers as a cinema camera. This thing is built like a tank. The only thing is that built-in fan is a little bit of a chink in the armor for that weatherproofing and weather sealing. But beyond that, this thing is solid, feels durable, it feels nice, it's got a great grip in the hand, and it's a really fun camera to use. And then also I'm going to add on the battery life. The battery life with these BPA 30 and BPA 60 batteries is just ridiculous. You can get as long as you want to go. You can even go to a BPA 90 battery, and those things last and last and last. It seems like it's very efficient with the battery usage with this camera. It's been a great experience as far as that. And so with the batteries and the ergonomics, the build quality, the features, the ND filters, the image itself, I've had a really, really amazing experience using this C70. It can really step up pretty much anyone's quality of work who's coming from something like the R5, no doubt about it. But before I go into my decision on whether or not I'm going to be purchasing the C70, I want to go over a few cons that I have found while using this camera. Con number 1 is going to be that the image stabilization is just not there. The R5 has the IBIS built into it, and I've really been enjoying using that. Especially doing weddings, run and gun stuff. I'm doing a lot of walking handheld because I guess I've got that ninja walk down, but I can walk perfectly smoothly if I get a couple points of contact on the camera and get perfectly smooth shots of like a couple walking down the aisle, anything like that. I can do it all handheld, and I can shoot basically like 95% of the things I need to do handheld on the R5 because of the IBIS paired with the lens stabilization. When it comes to the C70, you got the lens stabilization, of course, but it does not have IBIS. It has digital IS, and I've found that to be not quite as reliable and trustworthy as the IBIS. The digital IS seems to be a little jumpy, and like it just seems like it wants to do its own thing. It's not really following the movements or motions that I'm doing myself. So I have a little bit of issue with that. So it is what it is. This camera obviously is a cinema camera. It's not meant to always be handheld. It's meant to also be used on gimbals or on tripods, of course. So if you're doing a lot of handheld and doing a lot of walking and movement shots, maybe this is not the camera for you. Just something to consider. The second con is going to be the Super 35 sensor severely impacts and interferes with your lens choices and options. So right now I have on here the 15 to 35 f2.8 lens from Canon. It's the RF mount, and it's great. It's a great lens. On this, it becomes something like a 24 to 50, very ballpark, 24 to 50-ish, something like that, with the crop with the Super 35 sensor on here. That lens is a pretty versatile lens, but all the other lenses I have, a 24 to 70, a 24 to 105, a 70 to 200, all those lenses get cropped in so much that I don't have those wide angles anymore. For example, my 24 to 70 becomes like a 35 or 38 to whatever, and so I'm really missing the wide end of those lenses. I'm not able to get the wide shots that I like to get. I shoot at 24 millimeters a lot of the time, and so unless you have a super wide lens like this, you're not even going to get close to having that wide angle that you're looking for. So that's another thing, is just the Super 35 impacts your lens choices and really limits you on what you can use, and kind of just creates extra math on trying to figure out what focal length am I actually getting with this lens. And the last and final con, and why I'm probably not going to be looking at purchasing the C70 anymore, you're looking at $5,500, $54, $53, whatever. You might find a good deal, but let's say $5,500. I'm going to have to buy this 15 to 35 lens so that I can actually get the wide enough focal lengths that I use on a daily basis. So I need to buy a $2,000 lens, give or take. Then you have to buy the batteries. The batteries from Canon are absolutely ridiculous. These BPA 30, 60, and 90 batteries from Canon are absolutely massively overpriced. So you're looking at probably $500, $600 there in batteries. So all in all, I'm spending $7,500 to $8,000 just to get a little bit cleaner shots with a little bit less noise, to get a little bit better dynamic range. And the built-in NDs are a big thing. I'm really going to miss that. But beyond that, it's just a couple super minor things that I'm benefiting, and then I'm having to spend all this money to get it. And to me, that's just not worth forgoing the benefits that I already experienced with the R5, which is the photo capabilities, which I don't use very often, but it's nice to have. I do use it when doing product shoots and stuff like that. The ability to have the IBIS and the walking shots, and then also just the ease of use. Using this camera with their cinema menu just becomes a little bit more of a task and a hassle to change settings, to do whatever I need to do on a daily basis when I'm shooting. And just the overall ease of use and the process of use with the R5, to me, is leaps and bounds better than the C70. It's more of a process, like I said, to use the C70, which is expected. It's a cinema camera. But for me, that's not a sacrifice I want to make. So for now, sticking with the R5.